Hello, I'm Caroline Searcy. Welcome to Australia's only thoroughbred rehoming program, Thoroughbreds Are Go. Coming up, we focus on a huge number of thoroughbreds at one of the world's great agricultural shows, the Sydney Royal Easter Show. And we catch up with the team at Racing SA, plus Arrowfield Studs' Strapper story. That's coming up soon on Thoroughbreds Are Go. The Sydney Royal Easter Show has a great reputation for having thoroughbreds competing at the highest level, and now they have thoroughbred only classes that are just growing year in, year out.
Angel of Truth is well clear, and Angel of Truth makes all in the derby.
Precedence on the outside. What a great finish this is. And Bart's got one home. Precedence has got up to win.
It's Hot King Prawn in front. He's now a Group 1 prawn.
The handlers, the way they present themselves, they're a credit to the industry. And what we're showing out here today, the thoroughbred is on show and they are the best of the best, and they are to be congratulated. Thoroughbreds had a great history, long history with the RAS. We're 200 years old and they've been part of it for most of those 200 years. And the trophies we present here, the Arrowfields, the Widden, they've also got a long history with the Thoroughbred and the Royal Easter Show, so it's wonderful.
And you yourself, you've been involved in showing horses and winning these trophies too?
Yes, we've won the Widden Trophy 3 times, so we're very lucky. Once with a Farnworth colt, the old showground, then he went out to the English sale yards and he wore his ribbons and we sold him, and I'm pretty sure we got extra money because of that. So then another filly, Gala Shields, who was by Military Plume, and Red Tony, a Habitat horse. He was a stallion. He came out of quarantine straight to the showground. Yeah. So we've got a long history, and we really love the Easter Show and the thoroughbred part of it for the RAS.
Now it's very much an off-the-track horse, isn't it? But it's really growing in interest in the equestrian world. That's what's so important, isn't it? To keep those links growing between racing and the equestrian world.
That is correct, and we want to thank Racing New South Wales for their input to it. And without Racing New South Wales putting money forward for the off-the-track horses, I can see a future for it. And with the RAS and other industries, we will grow with it.
The chosen one late, but Angel of Truth is well clear.
Well, we had Jeff Penzer judging out here today. Corey Brown had an ATC Derby winner who was showing as well. It's great that there is a tradition, isn't there, of some of the jockeys showing out here as well.
Well, also George Moore, he rode in the old showground in a parent and child. When Gala Shields won her event, Ron Quinton was the judge. And Ron Quinton used to go to Pony Club out of Gilgandra. So, no, it's very, there is, the jockeys, the trainers, Tommy Smith used to come and send his horses, Bart Cummings, Neville Begg was a great supporter of the Royal Easter Show, so it was wonderful.
Bart bred Roman Emperor. Now he had a horse who was a winner of a class out here as well today. So it doesn't matter what the pedigrees are. If they're good types and they're well conformed and well presented, that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. Plus our judges. Jeff Pender has done an outstanding judge. And he has show jumpers at home, so he competes in the show jumping ring, which a lot of people don't know about it. So, and Corey Brown being out here was wonderful because Corey's had a bit of unluck with his health and with the horse race falls, and it was good to see him leading a horse around here today. Excellent.
Denise, it's been a fabulous day out here with so many thoroughbreds competing. I know that the RAS, the Horse Council, you've all done so much work to get these horses here every year.
We have. We enjoy having these thoroughbreds on the ground. We try and isolate them, not isolate them, but have them out here on their own because they're so spectacular to watch, especially when they're trotting across the top of the arena in all their finery, but they're just beautiful animals to watch.
For someone that doesn't understand the show scene, so we've filmed led classes here today and ridden classes. What do the riders, the owners, the people that are actually preparing these horses, what do they have to do? There's so much detail to it, isn't there?
There is a lot of detail. They do actually have to perform to get to Sydney Royal. We encourage them to go to agricultural shows so that they're supporting those agricultural shows along with getting the horses used to the environment of the show jumping behind them and the other horses going around. I know they have a very busy environment at the races as such, but this is another level again. So we do encourage them to go to the agricultural shows, get their performances, and then come to Sydney Show. And these are the best of the best thoroughbreds here today that you saw out in the ring. So it's wonderful to watch.
It really is. And I mean, look, some of them will play up and misbehave, but all the breeds do it. We look at all these other classes going on. It's nothing out of the ordinary, but so many of them are so well behaved.
Really well behaved. This is an enormous atmosphere out here. I don't think people in the grandstands probably don't appreciate how noisy it gets down here, and the wind can pick up, and that can quite often give them a fright, and it is an enormous environment, but they do so incredibly well.
We saw at the end of the day, sort of working backwards, of course, the prestigious Pope Trophy sponsored by Thoroughbred Breeders Australia, and we saw the winner Royal Blue by Top Echelon. Again, we're not talking about a massively commercial stallion, but for Christopher Laurie from South Australia, it was great to see precedence here as well for Fiona McIntyre, such a popular horse in Victoria and really around Australia. Recife Beach was a horse that raced for Kim Waugh, was also here winning ribbons and prize money, and it's a really national sort of show.
It is a national show, and it shows a lot of racegoers out there what these horses are capable of after they finish racing. They can come here and have this, and they're spoiled so much, these show horses, which you would have seen from the way they look and everything. They're just living the life afterwards in the show world.
Looking at the way they're groomed, the way that they're either led or ridden, the tack, what the rider or the leader or the handler are wearing, what are the priorities for the judges?
At this show here, it's the conformation and their manners and their paces. It's all about the horse. These classes are about the horse. Other events have fashions on the field and all those sort of events, but here it's about the horse. So the horse has to behave to the best of its ability given the atmosphere, but the judges are looking at the conformation, manners and paces of the horse.
Are they looking in terms of, what would, say for the mares classes in particular, what might produce a good thoroughbred to race? So in other words, sort of a well-conformed, everything in the right place as a racehorse, or does a bit of the show scene sort of creep into it about a pretty horse?
The show scene does creep into it, obviously, because that's what showing is about, is to have that full picture of the good conformation, good manners and paces, but also the looks and the presence. You would have noticed the winner, you look at him because he's just, he's got pride in himself, and he stands up there proud, and you look at him. So it is about the look as well, and how they go about their job, or their new job, so to speak.
And Jeff Penzer, he's a great jockey, of course we know in New South Wales, and he does brilliant show jumping. We see him with his wife Michelle do some great things. But what would he have been looking for? Because it's all new when you judge these shows coming from the racing world.
It is new. I can't answer that. You'll have to ask Jeff what he was looking for. Everyone's individual, and at the end of the day, if the judge walks out of here and he's happy, that's what it's about, because that's their job. They've got to pick the one that they like. And that's for every breed that's out here. It's about, will you take that home, and would you take that horse home and feed it yourself?
It is. It's so subjective.
It is very subjective, and it is very based on personal opinions. And people get upset because their horse may not have won, but at the end of the day, it's that person's opinion, and there's a lot of people out there that judge. So come back and try again. So it's just personal opinion when it comes to showing.
And the English Crane Trophy, of course, for fillies and mares over 15 hands, we saw different stallions: Murtajil, Bianconi, Dane Shadow. The winner was Touch the Clouds by an American sire in War Chant for Alexia Fraser. It's quite fascinating seeing Zazoo, congrats. We saw a Nom de Jeu winning a class earlier in the day, New Zealand sire. It is quite fascinating that the different sorts of pedigrees that create these horses that excel in the show ring.
It is. Many years ago there was another very popular sire in the showing world. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you would see a lot of that size progeny in the show ring. So it's interesting how some are very popular and some are not so popular.
And it was really good earlier to see Corey Brown out here with an ATC Derby winner, so trying to keep, obviously a youngish horse trying to keep control and do their best. And Hot King Prawn, it was really great to see Rebecca Brown of Hillview Thoroughbreds bringing out this fabulous Hong Kong galloper. She had other entries as well. And I think this is part of linking the racing world to the equestrian world when they're well-known names.
Absolutely. I believe that Hot King Prawn has a huge following, but to see him out here in the show ring, and from what I can see, I wasn't close up, but I could see he handled it very well, and no doubt that I suppose the Hong Kong racing atmosphere is another level again, so that would help him handle this sort of environment. But it's great to see all those horses come out here because there's a story behind every horse, not just the ones that win all these races.
You're trying to grow these classes. What are the plans? Have you seen the progression? Obviously COVID interfered with it a bit, but the progression of the interest in people competing in these show classes and then wanting to come to the Sydney Royal Easter Show.
We would love to see a lot more horses, thoroughbred-led classes. Many, many years ago we used to have Thoroughbred Day where the livestock trucks would come on, park on the track, bring out all these wonderful animals. I don't know if we're able to get back to that, but we are trying to grow these classes as best we can at the moment.
I hope they get back like they were in the old days, and I think in the future they will. Once now COVID's over and there's more events outside the Easter show coming on and more people are grabbing the thoroughbreds, so it's excellent.
Some wonderful thoroughbreds there and a lot of great work being done by the RAS. Coming up after the break, we hear more from Racing SA. As we know, every racing jurisdiction in Australia have their own thoroughbred welfare programs. We thought we'd touch base again with Racing SA to see what they've achieved in the past 12 months. Look at you!
John, a big part of what we do with Thoroughbreds Are Go is try and obviously join the links between the racing industry and the equestrian world. And the Racing SA sponsorship of the class here at the Adelaide Equestrian Festival, it's such an important thing, isn't it, for both sides of the equation?
Certainly is, Caroline. I mean, we're the major sponsor for the three-star event here at Victoria Park, and the benefit that we get out of it is we also get to see one thing Victoria Park used again. As you know, it used to be a race course, and just fantastic to see horses back here. But to get our brands across this whole event is that a lot of people coming through the equestrian field can have a career in racing. The horses that are retiring from our sport can actually then evolve into doing something like this as well. So for us to basically have a presence here, I think is fantastic.
And of course, we're seeing thoroughbreds. We're featuring another story about the thoroughbreds that are competing here at what was the Adelaide International 3-day event. It is so important, I guess, for owners from the racing world to get out here and see. It's just as exciting as winning a race when you see a horse that you've been involved with competing out at this sort of event.
Exactly right. I mean, this is high level equestrian. So to see the horses leaving the racing field and coming to compete at this high level, it's basically the same, as you say. It's like winning a Group 1 race for some of these horses, and it is exciting. It's really exciting to see. We've always had a small part with the Adelaide Equestrian Festival back in the day when it was the Adelaide 3-day event. So we've always had some sort of footprint here, but this year we decided to increase our sponsorship and just to get more of exposure on what we're doing and just to get that Racing SA brand out there. because all horse sports should work more closely together, because at the end of the day it's beneficial for everyone, because there's all different types of people that are involved in both sports, and the horse lover loves everything, don't they? You know, the equestrian, the racing as well. It all mingles in. It's a marvellous achievement for Bob to be still looking after Jack, aka Iron Law, which was his racing name. That's just to see people in our industry still looking after their horses long after they've retired. And at the end of the day, he was no star on the track. Bob told us before, he won a couple of races, so for him to give him a home for the rest of his life is an outstanding achievement, and we're really pleased to be out here and see him what life he's got now.
There's a serious side, obviously, in terms of, we talk about racing social licence and really fostering that understanding that the racing industry cares about its horses. I mean, you've been involved in this for quite some time now, but it is also a really serious message to get out there.
It certainly is. I mean, for a good racing industry to move on into the next group of racing participants and also racing lovers, you need to see that your welfare initiatives are working, because at the end of the day, the horse, well, he is the star of the show, isn't he? He's the star of the show, and you need to make sure that you're doing the right thing by him. By sponsoring these sort of events, we're actually providing a pathway for them horses to go down this next level, because a horse can finish his racing career 5, 6, 7 or 8 if they've had a good career. Some finish early, but when they get up to this level, in this type of event, they're 14, 15 and 16. So they have a wonderful career, and it's fantastic to see, and we're really pleased to be a part of it.
And we obviously, in the last few years, we've seen your fabulous ambassador Claire Lindop, of course a former champion jockey, doing wonderful stuff in educating young jockeys and being, again creating that awareness. But as far as people taking on thoroughbreds, we've also looked at the packs that you give out to really encourage people, just that first port of call, so that they have some training ideas and aims when they actually take on a thoroughbred. Explain a bit about that.
Well, what we do with what we call our retirement assistance pack is any horse leaving the industry in this state, they're all entitled to the pack that we provide. So we've got some really great partners that we work with now. Obviously High Gain have been with us since day one. Fantastic people to deal with. They provide a feed voucher and a supplement pack, but the biggest thing that they provide is they provide that nutrition advice. So they have that one-on-one meeting with the High Gain nutritionist. So we know that the horses that are leaving the industry are going to get the right information on what nutrition that they need to go through their next career. We've also got a great partnership with Petstock. Petstock now they own Caribou Rug, so they supply a rug for us that's branded in our Thoroughcare brand, so they're fantastic to deal with as well. We're also working with Andy Ide at Horse Records, which is a great IT tool for horse owners. We're working with Apex Therapy. They provide chirotherapy for horses that are just leaving the industry, which is a good thing. So the horses are getting into the next career with all the health that they need, all the nutrition that they need, and all the little things that the new owner doesn't need to provide, we're providing for them.
Sponsorship is just such a growing thing, particularly with thoroughbreds and thoroughbred classes. We are making it a really big point that we want to support thoroughbreds in as many disciplines as possible. There's so many different avenues for them to go down. You can find them at events like this, or they make wonderful show horses. We're seeing a lot even go into camp drafting and stockman's challenges and things like that, just because they're such a versatile mount. It's just so important to support them in all these different avenues.
We were just talking before in terms of, say, the Royal Adelaide Show, where there used to be horses with thoroughbred qualities, but explain now, you're actually finding that there are, whether it be a Horse of the Year or actual thoroughbred classes here in Adelaide as well as in other parts of Australia.
Yes, exactly. So running classes for them specifically, so only retired thoroughbreds are eligible to compete in these classes. It's just becoming more and more popular. We're finding not only can the thoroughbreds hold their own in open classes and things like that, but having specific classes for them, it just is such an amazing opportunity for them to really showcase how versatile and how amazing the thoroughbreds are.
I mean, we're seeing more of a take-up of thoroughbreds. How is that coming about?
It comes about in so many different ways. We have a lot of people reach out to us and say, we'd love your support for certain events, and that's great, we can do that, absolutely. Otherwise, we are really happy to reach out if we have an idea or, we think there could be an event run here. It would just be as simple as us reaching out to them, and it's just communicating with committees, with people that have retired thoroughbreds and providing a pathway for them that's available and ready so they are able to compete. We just see the demand growing. A lot of people are starting to realise how versatile and how different these horses are. It is as simple as communicating with the committees, communicating with people that have retired thoroughbreds, and seeing what they're looking for and what they're after and what we can do to encourage bigger attendance in these classes, and just to keep growing the sport in each discipline, creating more pathways for the horses.
And there's nothing better, is there, as a racing owner, to see your horse out competing. We're here at the Adelaide Equestrian Festival, and to see so many people that would have touched these horses somewhere through their lives in the racing industry. This is just wonderful to see them out looking so good.
Absolutely. We hear so many stories of owners just following the horses throughout their next careers once they retire from racing. Or even things such as strappers. They develop a relationship with these horses on the track, and then we find a lot of them, once they retire, they take them in, they provide them their home, and they want to be the owners of them once they retire. And then going forward in the careers, it really does create a really wonderful community that love supporting the thoroughbreds.
And I think, a lot of states are watching what's happening here in SA because you've been ahead of the pack with some of those, the assistant packs, as we just talked about before, but also in terms of you're actually, developing things which is working for a smaller community. South Australia has a smaller population, so does somewhere like Queensland or, even Western Australia, despite the size. It's really important. Some of these models are slightly different than the bigger states, isn't it?
Yeah, they are. I mean, the model that we work with, we're not a huge population. We're really lucky. We've done 425 assistance packages in 2 years, which we're really proud of that. So that we know that those 425 horses have had the right start in their next career. So we talk amongst the other states. We have our regular team meetings. So a lot of states use what's working in one state to another, and then they define it on how they think it'll best work to them. But I suppose we are lucky that our population and our horse areas aren't as great as Queensland or Western Australia, but they're putting these things into practice as well, and I think they're going to be beneficial for them too.
South Australia punching above their weight when it comes to thoroughbred welfare. Coming up after the break, Arrowfield Studs, Strapper Stories.
My favourite horse at the Michael Nolan stables that I looked after was Upstart Pride. One of my good friends, Debbie O'Toole, used to ride all his work when he was a younger horse. He certainly wasn't the easiest ride, and she definitely had a work cut out for her. Debbie was a jockey and used to go away on weekends. I became his regular track work rider. I done all his slow work. Michael couldn't believe how much calmer he would go around for me, and that's why I was his regular rider. He used to stand in the types of a morning, and if he could hear my voice outside, he used to look out the door until I walked in. And I didn't believe my co-worker one day, so he videoed him doing this. When he retired racing, my bosses Michael Nolan and Alana Aspinall kept him in the hopes that Alana could ride him and compete him. Unfortunately, with her own job and with the business, she just never got time. So instead of him just wasting the paddock, they offered him to come down to me because they knew how much I loved him and he'd be looked after. So now he does show jumping with me most weekends. He loves show jumping, he gets very excited. I've actually got 2 of his other full brothers. So it originally started with his older brother, Tycoon's Pride, and he's been my best horse to date. We still have him, he won't ever go anywhere. He does show jumping, he helps teach people to show jump. He's just an all-round horse. So through the Michael Nolan stage, his younger brother came through who was also a full, and I wanted the 3 of them. So I ended up putting my name down for Ruler's Pride when he finished as well. The trainer rang me when he finished, and he came to live his life with me as well. So I've got the 3 brothers, full brothers, and they all lived their life happy I love the off-the-track thoroughbreds and taking them away from the racing and finding them homes, because I love how they're bringing out all these incentives, which is making it really rewarding with all the work that you do with them away from racing. Because I ride them track work as well, it's just even more rewarding, because I love giving them a good start away from there with their new lives.
That's all for Thoroughbreds Are Go this week. Tune in again next week as we bring you Thoroughbred Breeders Australia's fast track graduation ceremony, with young people in the industry being trained for world's best practice thoroughbred care, both within the racing industry and beyond. I'm Caroline Searcy. I look forward to seeing you then.